Oh, say, can you see this movie playing in a theater near you? uh, I'm John Stark from MarkTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and also gay film critic. Important because this is National Anthem, so my thoughts on this film might be a little bit different than what you would think. Somebody, I'm sure somebody saw National Anthem in the theater at some point during its theatrical release and had some sort of like a stroke. I'm guessing somebody was like, "Oh, I made a rodeo movie." They saw like a poster or something for this, and they're like, "Oh, this cowboys. I want to go in and watch." they just they died. Um, Rest in peace, homophobic old man. Uh, but this is great. It has audio description. Look at that. I obviously did not see it in theaters. I don't even know if it was near me in theaters. I assume it was because I live in a nice uh, gay area, so I'm sure this was fine. But um, I just I don't go to the theaters every week, so I don't constantly look at things. And I'm sure this had like a limited run. This thing probably popped in and out. Uh, it was a really quick child labor, just birth, uh, and now it's out there for everybody. So you can rent it and enjoy the audio description. Um, it is. I feel like it's taking back the gay cowboy thing that Brokeback Mountain has so seemingly claimed all to itself, and it is claiming that for its own. Um, it is the directorial debut of Luke Gilford, and I fully expect to see his name on some lists for uh, getting a nomination for directorial feature debut. And I should introduce myself. I do have a blind audience. I forgot. I'm sorry. I have a purple hat on. It's backwards. It's a baseball cap. I've got black sunglasses, and I'm wearing the least gay shirt I possibly could today. It's the Fast and the Furious. It's like I'm an enigma. I'm all over the place. Um, I've seen quite a bit of sort of like reviews slash press for this film before I saw it. Just coming out of the LGBT film critic area, I was led into GALECA this year, and National Anthem is like all the rage. So I was like, oh, well, obviously I have to see this whenever. And then it popped up on the Apple Store, and I was like, oh my God, there it is. I'm going to see it. So um, it's an independent film. I think it debuted at South by Southwest. From what I'm able to find, it was at least at South by Southwest. Might have been the debut, uh, which is excellent because, again, perfect. This is a gay rodeo drama, so perfect place to put it. Sundance also fully acceptable if you were there. Um, but yeah, it's not the kind of film that you go, where did it premiere? Venice. And you're like, why? you know, it's just like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, South by Southwest just feels good for this film. It's about a guy played by Charlie Bart. I don't want to say Bartlett because I feel like that's a movie. It's Barnett, right? Isn't it? There's a movie called Charlie Bartlett. I'm not crazy. I feel like that was a movie. And I think it's bleeding into my brain trying to get me to say that that's what his name is. Um, Now I'm lost and confused. Charlie Plummer. That's his name. I was wrong completely. But there is a movie. There's a movie called Charlie Bartlett. Anyway, Charlie Plummer, who has done several things here, plays a guy who, he's in sort of a stage in life where he clearly is open to learning more about who he is as a person, where he fits in his community, and he also, loves working on ranches a little bit of cowboy, maybe introduced to some rodeo. It's just that kind of like lifestyle and culture. And he kind of stumbles upon this, you know, queer community that supports gay rodeos and these other, you know, LGBTQ ranchers and ranch hands and rodeo folk that all live in this world and lifestyle, and he kind of assimilates himself into this group, this crowd that he's, you know, he's sort of the new one there. He becomes really enamored with Sky, played by Eve. I'm gonna mess up her name too. It started with an L. Anyway, Eve L, who is a transgender actress playing a trans character here. And I love what they did with this character, because I feel like we've always seen those movies where there's always like some young guy always sees this like unattainable female character, and it's always like, oh my god, I wonder if by the end of the movie they'll ever be together. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's just like, well, I tried. You know, we had some fun times in there. You know, there are a couple of those movies, sort of like Risky Business-esque type movies, where it's just about the good times trying to get there. But this is a little bit more of you know, actually having your shot and taking your shot, I should say. And she's already in a relationship with someone, and that evolves in interesting ways. I don't want to spoil everything, but that evolves in interesting ways. This film is very interesting. And he's just kind of brought in and just sort of experiences this world, and it kind of opens him up to new possibilities. And he figures himself out, I think, in ways that he maybe wouldn't have otherwise if he hadn't been afforded the opportunity to experience it alongside his own community. You know, I mean, it's so weird because, like, I feel like it's almost like it's almost like counterculture. You know, like you're really just running almost aggressively counter to what the community that sees this sort of stereotype, right? That rodeos are for men, they're masculine things, and being a cowboy is the Marlboro man, and you gotta get out there and for ranch hands, and you know, Yellowstone, and all those sorts of things. And I'm not gonna say that these are all, you know, just like they didn't. It's not that these people should not be where they are either. They found a bunch of people who feel like that this is their life, like this is their culture, and they just also happen to be members of the queer community. And that's what's great about it, is because it's not for comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not like the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race, you know, trying to be like, yes, we work on a ranch, you know, like, no, we don't. So yeah, it's perfectly cast and shot, and the actress who plays Sky does a nice job. And I felt like for a while I was like, this character has to be trans. I was like, because I didn't quite pick up on that, believe it or not, right away. I was really just, because it was such a stereotypical, like, dude falling in love with woman just stereotypical plot, that I was just like, oh my god, this is so working. Like, and then he's gonna find out vicariously through the maybe like the potential throuple situation here that he also likes men. You know, I thought that's kind of where the story was going, and I was like, oh my god, no, that's not what this is. And I was like, this is beautiful. I love this movie even more. Like, I love the risks that it takes. It just takes big swings all the time. It's just, but it's not really big swings. It's just how people live. They actually shot this at like gay rodeos. This is like a real life. This is just exploring a thing that I'm just less familiar with. So it was just a really interesting film. I don't know if that's my favorite film of the year, but I was really interested in it, intrigued, and it like opened it up. I was like, yeah, this is, I can see why people like this because we're always looking for things that feel different, you know? My God, I've seen so many films this year that are just like, can you just sue someone for plagiarism? Like, I just, at this point, you're so derivative of things that have come before you that it's just like, I feel like you should just get sued by everybody. Like, Mark Wahlberg's The Union just feels like it's made by, I don't know, everyone? Uh, or how about Jason Statham's The Beekeeper? You know, it's like, yeah, that's not John Wick at all. You know, we get films like that all the time. And this one, I'm like, I don't know what this is or where this came from. Because if you try to say Brokeback Mountain, you're going to be like, no, no, that's not it. That's not this film. This is not even remotely the same thing. Um, so yeah, it's great. But you know what's funny is like fuck everything I just said because that's not even my favorite part about the movie. My favorite part about this movie is Charlie Plummer. He has this relationship with the kid that's playing his little brother, and every fucking scene they have together is fucking gorgeous, and I love it so much. His brother is like, I don't even want to say. Some critics have jumped to the thing and they've said that he's a little bit queer too, but he's so young that just because he's exploring with makeup, you know what I'm saying, or that he's open to themes and ideas at that age, he just might be like the kindest child you've ever met. You know what I'm saying? Like this might be a bright future for like this is hope. You know what I'm saying? Like hope personified in this child. Like somebody who just sort of was like understanding, chill, relax, inquisitive, explorative, and is at a point in his age where maybe he's not asking himself the heavy questions. What am I? Who am I? What am I attracted to? And is just being allowed to do whatever he finds himself drawn to at the time. And the scene with the wiping off of the makeup and everything, I just thought was so, I don't know, that's my favorite scene in the movie, just hands down. It reminded me of a friend who they adopted, him and his wife adopted a kid, and their little kid is a lot like this kid. He just, like, they don't know. He's like in kindergarten and he likes princesses and pink and you know, but they've never once have they ever set him to any sort of heteronormative standard as to boys do this and girls do that. And you know, everything I always hear is about how incredibly kind and empathetic he is to other people. And I'm like, that's great. Instead of breeding a world of people who are told there's, you know, only one way to do things, it's like there are multiple ways to do things. It's just you have to have the sort of open mind to be able to do them. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this kid is going to go with his life, but the fact that we're sitting here just allowing for that possibility for him to find it himself, for coming out of a character who's clearly still trying to find himself, that resonated with me more than probably the whole rodeo thing. Maybe just because rodeos, I'm just like, I would never go to one. I don't care how gay it is. I just think pride flags everywhere. It's just like, I don't know. It's still a rodeo. It's just not my thing. So, the movie does a really good job of exploring all that stuff really well. The LGBT stuff is really good here. The one sort of like, we could have done better is, and maybe it's just because, you know, I'm thinking about like, this comes from like Luke Guilford's experience. I didn't really get the mother thing. like, I kind of felt like that was very sort of undercooked, and they didn't have enough time to commit to it. The relationship between Charlie Plummer and the actress who plays his mother, I kind of I kind of felt like her performance was just, it was just it was like whatever. It was like they didn't care like who played her. They were like whatever. It's this, and it should have more emotional resonance than that. Like it's the kind of thing you set up and you play out. Like last year we had a great LGBT film in Monica with Trace Lizette, and uh, I think I think there's a risk maybe of taking a straight character, and maybe you're afraid in an LGBT film that the straight character is going to steal the whole film, because Patricia Clarkson was fucking fantastic in Monica, but because that's because she's fantastic in everything. So did she kind of steal Monica for me? Yeah, a little bit, because her character was just so complex and given this really specific, sort of like uh, you know, I'm at a stage in my life where I'm going through this thing, and it's so profound. And then also just her interactions with Trace Lizette, were just stunning sometimes, just absolutely just amazing, and her transformation and everything. But because of that, I enjoyed Monica so much more, because there was actually this dynamic back and forth. And I thought, even for somebody like Trace, who doesn't have the acting experience, quite like Patricia Clarkson, who's an Academy Award nominee. I'm not being rude. Uh, Patricia Clarkson's an Academy Award nominee, so just didn't have the same experience. Um, I thought it was like, throwing Trace into a ring and making her fight for it. Like go get it, get in there, girl, go get it. So that pulled the best out of her. Here, I don't think they cared. I don't even know who the actress is. And it felt very just sort of like, yeah, I guess we have to have something in here that talks about it. And it's just like, that should have been more. I felt like that should have been more. It should have been more of a focus, because they try to pull it in, and then when they try to pull it in, it's like, I'm not invested in this storyline. I'm not invested in this mother. I'm not invested in what she has to say. I feel like they're doing it just because they're like, well, people have complicated parents, so let's talk about it. And obviously they want the rodeo thing to be the central focus. Even arguably the stuff with the little brother is not the focus, but it's beautiful. That is really well done, is what I'll say. Like it's funny, because neither the little brother nor his interaction with his mother are actually the focus of the film. But when you see the care that's put into the scenes with the little brother, that relationship is flawless. When you see the scenes with the mother, they're just sort of like, that's it. That's all you get. Um, and I think if you're gonna have such little screen time, you got to go bigger with the actress. You got to get somebody who can really kind of make like a powerful impact in just such a short period of time. Uh, it's not the same kind of thing, but I would, without saying a giveaway, because this is one of those, if you know things. Beau is Afraid. Beau is Afraid would be that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like the whole thing is pretty much, it's always there. It's sort of like lingers over the whole movie, but when you actually get to it, that person's screen time is very limited, but is also very, very well done in a very limited amount of screen time. So, yeah, you got to get somebody who can really just step up to bat and knock it immediately. You get one swing, and it's gotta hit. Otherwise, I thought, yeah, this is everything. This is a strong film. A couple of tweaks. It's weird that my favorite my favorite part about it is not the rodeo part of it. It's just this brother relationship. I don't know if I would have wanted to expand on it more. I thought it just depends, because sometimes if you get too much of something, it doesn't work. And so it's just like the right amount of stuff. It's the right amount of screen time, and it's carefully crafted. And it really just kind of brought those characters and brought more out of Charlie Plummer's character. Riley, I think is his name. Anyway, I think a very strong directorial debut. The audio description is all right. It could have done better. It just kind of felt like it was like there, like to have, so they could legally say we have audio description. It's not very descriptive. It just isn't very descriptive. It does kind of mention like some things, you know, when you get to it and they're like, oh, there's pride flags at the rodeo. And it's like, okay, well, but I feel like there's just more. I feel like there's no way to like listen to this track and be like, you couldn't have gone further with this. You know what I'm saying? Like first of all, your target audience, if you're afraid about like describing things, like 97% of the audience who clicks on this know what the fuck they're getting into. And are getting into it on purpose. So go ahead and just assume and lean into it that you don't be afraid. You know, if there's any sort of hesitation about what kind of culture you're describing, that's the point of the film. I don't know. I just kind of felt like it was very laid back, very laid back approach to doing audio description. Again, it's just sort of like the bare minimum, the basic. I wouldn't. This is not going to be on like my top list of the end of the year for audio description tracks. I don't have a problem with the narrator's voice, although I would love to know that this was LGBT representation, considering basically the entire film is LGBT representation, and I know a ton of LGBT narrators. You can't swing at a cat, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't have been that hard to find one, so hopefully they found somebody who continues to help the representation that this film has on some level. But yeah, I think those are my thoughts on National Anthem. I will say that I got to the scene, and this was my what do I want to say? What's that, like the Clint Eastwood movie, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where they just kind of like stare down and said, wah, wah, wah. I felt like I was having that with Luke Guilford, because we got to the National Anthem, and I was like, if you fucking cut away from this, I will fail your film. I will go on my website and I will fail your film. Your film is called National Anthem. You chose that. You're going to play this whole fucking thing. And he does. And I was like, okay, we're good. I was so afraid that he was just going to do like everybody knows the National Anthem. And it's like, no. He let that whole thing, that the singer gets to actually do the entire National Anthem. I was like, this is great. Thank you. Thank you for realizing the fact that because you named your film National Anthem, you really kind of have to do the National Anthem the whole way through. You know, you can't just be like, oh, say, can you? And we're in the next scene. It's just like, no. Yeah, I love that part of it. Great singer. Great voice. Very well done. Definitely one of those situations too where you feel like that actor was really singing. You know, they caught that live. Like I said, they shot a lot of this actually at gay rodeos, which are a thing. Did not know. This is how, you know what though? It's not my fault, because it has nothing to do with me not being into that culture enough. I wouldn't know if there was a rodeo near me. You know what I'm saying? Like, of any kind. I don't think I could find Rodeo Drive. You know what I'm saying? It's not where I'm at. So, like I said, it's not an experience. This film didn't speak to me, because of that. I was like thinking, you know what? This film is for the people. This is kind of what I'm talking about with audio description, and why I always think that, I think when they try to have a like narrow-minded audio description, like as little as humanly possible, what they don't realize is that everybody's different, and we all need access to different things. Some people just like to watch like home and garden shows. You know, some people like to watch police procedurals all the time. Some people like to watch movies. Some people have kids and they need kids programming. Everybody's different. So when you kind of set your bar low as being like a percentage, what you really have is you only have like a snippet of each thing that's actually audio described, like little handfuls of content for each thing. And sometimes for people who like sort of like those more like niche things, you know, there's even less content. So here, this is a perfect example of that. It's like we see representation for all sorts of LGBT areas of culture. You know, I mean, drag is everywhere. Even though people are fighting, it's everywhere. You can't go out of your house without tripping over somebody in drag. You know, it's just like or a show with somebody in drag. Drag race, drag brunch, drag. You know, it's just everything. Somebody's competing on just a regular ass reality show in drag. You know, so it's just it's all over the place. However, gay rodeo, not you know, not something that they cover all the time. You know, I have yet to see it on Yellowstone. You know, I have yet something tells me it's going to take Taylor Sheridan a long time to even mention that this exists. he's going to be about 25 shows. He's going to be about as prolific as making TV shows as Tyler Perry is in making movies by the time he finally gets to mentioning the fact that this exists. So, yeah, it's just not something that is quite as widely featured, but clearly is a thing for a lot of people. So cool. Watch it. Check it out. Not my favorite film of the year. I wish some of the Mother had done been done a little bit better. Charlie Plummer does a really strong lead performance. Not my favorite of the year. I do like kind of bigger performances. I think since I'm blind, I kind of need bigger performances, especially when the audio description is just kind of like, eh. You know, it's like, what's his facial expression? I don't know. You know, he's being awful quiet right now. Can you help? No, I got nothing, man. I don't know what to tell you. You know, I just kind of felt like, I was like, okay, well, so maybe he's doing a great job. I have no idea. I thought Sky was interesting, and the use of Sky in here was such a great flip on this just sort of like old school archetype. And I gotta love the stuff with the brother. I just love the stuff with the brother. I thought that was the best part. So I'm pretty high on this, but I'm not high enough. It's not gonna make my top 25. I'm sorry. And maybe it's just because it has gotten me as interested in rodeo as any film possibly could. That's all I'll say. I am as interested as I possibly could be, I think, in rodeo at this point. So I'm gonna give National Anthem a B+. I absolutely have, I think, Luke Guilford has a bright future ahead of him in terms of directing. There's a lot going on here, and he's working with a lot of lesser known talent, not necessarily lesser talent, just lesser known talent. Whereas Monica, somebody got Patricia Clarkson, so it's just like, you know, just, yes, ma'am, do whatever you want. You know, it's just like, let her do her thing. Your film will be better for it. So anyway, let me know what you think about National Anthem. Drop it in the comments below. And anyway, that's it for me. I will watch something else and see you guys on the other side.